Hey everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our CrossFit Games live recap show. I'm your host, Lauren Khalil, alongside co-host Dex Hopkins, Presley Hirsch. It's been a fun week so far. Our recaps, they are brought to you by the U.S. Army Warrior Fitness Team, which provides awareness of Army opportunities while serving. Team members are active duty soldiers that compete in CrossFit and strongman, strongwoman competitions, both nationally and internationally. The U.S. Army's Warrior Fitness Team is one of 6 recruiting outreach teams that allows soldiers to pursue a passion while serving. We have more info for you with a link in our description. Man, day 3 is in the books. We've been running all day long. How are you guys feeling?
Oh, so good. They caught up. I can't believe they caught up from the schedule of rain day. So we really pushed a few things back. Age group people, kind of a big shuffle, but it seems like they got back on schedule. So
very nice. Fewer scoring issues, some really fun events. The last event, we didn't know what that was going to be until right beforehand. That was super fun. We saw some new movements, which I'm sure we'll get into later. So super fun day 3.
And we even know some of what tomorrow's workouts are going to be, but we'll get to that later. First, we'll take a look at the leaderboard. Men went first for our last workout, so we'll take a look. I'm not 100% sure if the leaderboard is finalized. We'll take a look. We'll see what it looks like.
Comment people.
For the people in the comment section.
Breaks, emergency break, throw it on.
But what we can see right now is Ricky Garrard is still in first place, even after that last event where he finished 28th, didn't finish the workout. We can get into some of those details, but just to go through the rest of the leaderboard on the men's side from what we're seeing so far, you have Justin Medeiros in second, Roman Krenikov in third, Jeffrey Adler fourth, Patrick Vellner in fifth, Saxon Panchik in sixth, Sam Quant in 7th, BKG 8th, Noah Olson in 9th, and Jason Hopper in 10th. Dex, what do you think about the top 10 that we're seeing today?
I do. I mean, it's almost usual suspects, right? I feel like Noah is on the way up. BKG looks good. And it's still like the programming is so interesting this year. We talk about people – I joke all the time about people projecting their athletic experience onto programming, whether it's conscious or unconscious. But you're seeing a lot of that stuff. Like with Dave in the past, it's always been, I don't want to say military geared, but – it was a distinct style. And with Boz is, if you didn't know, an elite level gymnast. And so something that, like today, the Echo Press, the last event we just watched, that's an accessory movement I program for people to drill position of the handstand push-up mechanically. And so to do it on this scale and at that capacity and then throw the Echo bike in there, which is just, horrible at baseline. It's a weird thing to see people struggle with because in my brain, that's an accessory piece to sharpen a prettier piece to the puzzle, if you will. And so that, the program was great, man. And seeing still the usual suspects, I think we can really lean on the cream rises to the top thing that we always do. So it is true time and time again.
One thing that I want to point out when we are looking further down the leaderboard is somebody who's normally in the top 10, Brent Fikowski, sitting in 25th. Any thoughts on that? Presley, I know we were kind of talking about this earlier, but we thought maybe he would have a better day today. Unfortunately, from the leaderboard right now for him, he's still sitting in 25th, not even a top 20 contender.
Yeah, we were talking about it last night. I'm definitely surprised to see him this low on the leaderboard, and especially after day 3. I do think, like as Dex was saying, the programming has been uniquely gymnastics heavy. I don't know if that has anything to do with it so far, but I definitely was surprised to see him that low.
Dex, do you think that it's specifically with the programming that we're seeing so far, or do you think that this is just a testament to, the change in guard when it comes to rookies or younger athletes?
It's hard. Like Brent is, consummate professional, and that's layers deep statement, right? Like the capacity's there, the movement quality, the attention to detail, and the guy's really public about it. So it's in my brain to know all these things about this guy that he's very public about. There's got to be maybe something going on because I don't see anything that's come up that would just crush him. Like the density work on the first workout with the bike things, I want to say he excels at kind of the unique things just because, I feel like he goes out of his way to have this athletic experience through the year. Like most people do, to try to, leave no stone unturned. But it's, consistently, I think, what did he start out with a 33 on that one? And then just consistently in the 20s. And I think his best finish so far is what that is, 13th. What did he get on the last one?
Yeah. The last one he got capped, 35th.
Yeah, which I mean, Brent's a 6'2", 220-pound guy. There's never been a pain I've felt more than what he feels on a gymnastics.
I was thinking of you, Dex, and those
Yeah.
handstand push-ups. I was like, oof.
No, dude, I am a fat gymnast. That's my thing. Like,
Fat gymnast.
I love gymnastics, but like the time domains are what get me, and like running stuff. But that is not Brent's story, right? And some of these have been like planning heavy, like this one today. No one was blowing up the bike till the last one on the last workout. And that's a kind of a weird, odd movement. I mean, we've seen him athletically adapt fast in the past. So I'd be interested to see if there's anything actually going on other than, just a rough draw on the programming, because it's, it's just never an excuse to me at this level. Nobody knows what's going on. It's a surprise to everybody sometimes. So.
Jay Wadley says that would be bad if Brent gets cut after Saturday's event. So people don't get cut until the very last event, so they'll have a smaller field going into the final day. Do you think that he's in a position to potentially be cut? I know we don't know all of the workouts yet for tomorrow, but this could be a real potential.
We've not swam yet. He's a good swimmer. There's a lot of stuff left on the board that he excels at, and he's a veteran. I mean, I think he's good at picking his spots. We've seen him do it in the past, right? We haven't done a long chipper yet, or like Fikowski special. But yeah, I mean, I would not count him out. Just as experienced as he is and as fit as we know he is.
All right, let's take a look at the women's leaderboard again. They just finished up less than 10 minutes ago. So we'll see. They're still sweaty. It looks like they're starting to get some of them in. Yeah, it looks like they're in. Again, we don't have verbal confirmation that it is official, but it could be. Let's start with the top of the leaderboard. Tia-Clair Toomey able to wear that leader's jersey and hold firm, crawled her back up to the top in first place. Mel O'Brien in second. Emma Lawson in third. Haley Adams in fourth. Christy Aramo O'Connell in fifth. Danielle Brandon in sixth. Ariel Lowe in seventh. Alexis Raptis eighth. Emma McQuaid 9th, and Brooke Wells in 10th. Presley, what do you think about the top 10 that we have so far leading into the fourth day?
Oh, man. Kind of like Dex said, usual suspects for sure, but that was a fun last event and a really fun last heat. I mean, we're big Emma Lawson fans. We had her on, and I just think that she is so well-spoken and clearly so excited to be here that it's really fun to see her doing so well and being in podium contention right now. I'm excited to see Haley Adams moving up closer to that top 3 spot. Ariel Owen, big fan of her. We've talked about her before, how, she only trains like 2 hours a day, whenever it is that her kid can be in daycare. And so she gets the training done in a really short period of time. It's really cool to see her doing so well. So, yeah. And then, of course, we spent a lot of the first day talking about if we should be concerned about Tia's performance. So seeing her back in first is maybe not terribly surprising, but definitely interesting given the conversations we were having the first couple days.
Well, and it seems so normal when you see Tia wearing the leader's jersey. It almost was so unfamiliar because it's been so long since we've seen anybody else on the women's field wearing the leader's jersey. That
what's going on?
Right, and her not even in the middle lane the other day. So seeing her back on top, is this what we expected? And it was just more of a slow start for Tia with kind of this new programming you've been talking about, Dex?
I think so. I mean, she's one of the most well-rounded athletes we've ever seen. Just, because I always refer to Rich, right? Rich was a slow builder, and then all hell would break loose on Sunday, and it's all first place finishes, right? And that was the usual procedure. So in my brain, for her to be the best athlete to ever do it, Rich be the first to do it in that fashion, her to be just the most dominant athlete we've had, it's not surprising to me because, a 9th and a 23rd was the worst finish, and the skill speed medley was at 23rd.
Yep.
And and that's a weird drop in the bucket thing. Like I'm certain Dave is still laughing about the jump rope thing, but then a 1 and a 2 today, which was very traditional CrossFit, and you got a new movement with the Echo Press thing. But I mean, aside like skill wise and programming, she's still a killer. Like it's in there. We've seen her get fired up. Just the massive flex after she wins an event, like the killer's still in there, and it may be hit till Friday, and then it'll be a long weekend for everybody now. But this is it's still the Tia show. But what's crazy to me is what's right under her. 3 through 4 is all people that are under 23 years old, I think. Right, Christy Aramo is the crafty vet. DB making moves I thought she would make. I really thought she would put a lot more hammer down on that lap, just because her upper body presence is really good. But yeah, man, it's that could be every day is like young guns. Like we're in young guns and they're shooting. So it's yeah, this is one of my favorite games just in the last 10 years.
Going further down a little bit, we talked about somebody who stood out to us that was below the top 10. Looking at the women's side, we have Laura Horvath in 15th. Obviously, this last workout, it wasn't great for her. We'll talk a little bit more about it later. 39, didn't finish the workout. I mean, you never want to see that when you're trying to be at least top 10 contention. But I mean, even after yesterday, she still wasn't as high as I guess I would have expected her on the leaderboard. What are your thoughts on her?
Pretty much the same. I mean, it's you know, year after year we see this needle move a little for her, and it's always the overhead pressing, right? The strict handstand push-ups or any version of that. And you think about her athletic background, rock climbing for speed, like the pegboard thing, monster. And so her pulling, it's always there. I mean, it's literally this one thing. So, you know, and then you get this one thrown in to where, you know, you would think it's a little better mechanically, but it's not. And then everybody has the, you know, most of the shoes people make now that we wear have the little plastic heel tab on the back for handstand push-ups. It's the opposite on the toe, right? We want all the grip. I want X, Y, Z. And so the way they have those set up, you had to have a little extra oomph to press through the rubber on the plexiglass, right? Like it's not.
Oh, interesting.
It's and that's what we were seeing. And with that, like I saw her judge and a few judges, right? And this is specifically to women, I think the depth was a little hard to judge just because hair's falling in the thing. And, you know, so that'll be something people argue about, which, you know, the human error is a thing, but you know, that's not a new talk. She's an overhead pressing has not been her bag for years. I mean, I can still remember the Dubai things where it was just like visibly upset that, you know, it comes up, but it looked better. And it does every year. It just, you know, that needle's hard to move when it's the deepest hole you have.
Sure. Anything else that you guys want to mention about of the two leaderboards? I know we're going to get specific into some of the events we saw today, but any standouts that we haven't talked about that you guys want to give some time to?
Go back to that thing.
Okay. Do you want men's or women's?
I'll put the men's up.
Okay. Let me switch around. Oops.
Fellas.
Oops. Look.
It's all good.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. Do you want to see past top 10?
Yeah, we can go down. Go like 6 through 10. Yeah. Watching the last event, Cole Sager is marching. Yeah, Cole Sager looked good today, especially on the last event or the field event today. But yeah, man, I'm just more pumped that it's the Ricky show. And Roman, like there's a lot of speculation, right, at the show. Can he put on, and are the lights too bright? And then apparently not. So he looks good. And it's, again, a lot of shuffling. This is a good game. So I'm enjoying it. Oh, did we lose her?
She's back.
Oh, hey.
Something else that was happening today, we've had, Presley, I think your audio is
she's
off.
The victim. First
no.
victim. The plague.
Every day, it's that room, the internet. It's because it's the media area. Everybody's in there. She's claimed victim. Don't worry, Presley. We have some video that we're going to run if you want to see if you can get some better internet connection. But we had some more withdrawals today. Let's screen share. Here, people were talking about it. You know, when are we going to hear about Keelan Henry? Because he posted on his Instagram earlier this afternoon referring to his injury with a hamstring, along with a general sickness this week that he's been dealing with. He said, quote, "It was highly unlikely I was going to compete." He shared this talking about those hamstring injuries, and a couple of other people in the age group division. Somebody who we were able to catch up with today, though, was Emily Rolfe. We've been talking about her. What a shame it was to see her with the blood clot, but she got up with us less than 24 hours after surgery, and here's what she said. So how long was the surgery in total?
So the surgery was, I would say, like in between 4 and 5, almost 5 hours. It was meant to be only about 2. But they found a clot in the brachial and the radial and the ulnar. So the brachial and the radial they got with the elbow incision, and then they were going to do a bypass, so cut my leg and just go in that way because it's a lot easier and faster. But the surgeon told me after that he looked at my hands and saw my calluses and was like, she works really hard. Like, I'm going to work really hard for her. And he put in an extra hour and went in the harder way for him, but faster recovery for me. So my calluses saved.
They paid off.
They paid off.
What is it like to listen to your doctor tell you that he wanted to work hard because he knows you're a hard worker? How does that feel?
Yeah, when he said that, it was like my heart. Like, I just started crying because he was like, I just looked at your hands and was like, I want to do this for you. And I was like, you know, he was exhausted. He put in a long day. And the fact that he was willing to do it the harder way just for me and put in an extra hour is pretty amazing.
How crazy is that, Dex? Her hands are the reason why he put in the hard work for her.
Yeah. So my wife's a surgeon, and like, I guess I know this situation intimately, and if they see things like that, I mean, you know, those people obviously are, you know, meant to serve and feel led to that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fact that that's what he saw, and you know, they put in the extra hour, like these people are there to help, you know, like restore, enrich, and improve your life, and so they're, you know, not surprised. I'm pumped about it. Like, I'm glad it's not a bigger deal and she was here walking around today, because that, I mean, I hear blood clot and, like, you know, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, hats off to him. I mean, did she say his name? That's
who the surgeon was?
Yeah.
No, she didn't say his name.
We need a plug for that.
But
yeah.
I know. Well, and the crazy thing is, so I saw her downstairs and just looking at her, I mean, she looks better than, I mean, no offense to us, but she looks better than we do after a day. And she was just through major surgery. She was out for, I think she said 5 hours, and less than 24 hours. She's walking around. She said she felt a little bit nauseous. But I mean, overall, she's looking great. And she even said that the doctor said her arm will come back stronger because she'll have more blood flow in that arm.
Oh, he gave her the cheat code.
Which I thought, yeah. So we're not encouraging people to like go out there and like, hey, can you do the blood clot surgery?
Nobody wants a surgery. But no, the fact that she was here smiling about it and telling the story, you know, and obviously the lady works hard. She had a lot of upside this year. And so, you know, she'll come back stronger. I'm excited for that for her.
Yeah, incredible. So I want to move now on to our guest. We have Chris Hinshaw here. It was a crazy day.
Crazy.
Lots
crazy.
to talk about with you. Oh my goodness. Kicking it off with one hell of a piece of by the Capitol.
What an iconic event. I mean, the truth is that event will go down in history as one of the greatest events for our sport of all time. That ending was truly a testament to what CrossFit is all about. If you don't get it, watch that last little piece.
There's a picture of it. I was upset I was down there shooting because I know you were on the live stream just spitting the runner facts, and that's almost one of the longer stretches we've ever had. And my favorite thing is to hear you break down how athletes are flushing things, going from like a heavy pig flip to where it's a big CNS thing into that long run where they have to settle into this aerobic pace and how they're doing that. And I was real upset I missed that. But I knew you were going off on it because that event was beautifully crafted from start to finish for sure.
You know, what's interesting is I spoke to Jason Kalipa last night. He's in Africa, and just comparing what the original event, the Burden Run, and in that Burden Run, they ran 2.1 miles, and then they went into the pig flip. And I was really interested on his take on the switching of this event. And for him, what he immediately said was, this is going to favor a runner, because a runner can really unload and not be so hesitant with something that is extremely heavy, hamstring dependent. And what was really fascinating was the damage that was done because of the pig and the run. We just saw fireworks. We saw fireworks that was just unprecedented, and it caught me by surprise, and I know it had to have caught him by surprise.
So originally when you saw the release of this workout, the different elements, how it would have, you know, an endurance component with that run, but also these strongman type movements, What kind of athlete did you think would ultimately end up on top? Somebody who was a stronger runner or somebody that's kind of average at both of them, if that makes sense?
That's a great question. One of the things that in prior events, they program running events, and it really was obvious who was going to win. Like if we just break down that 550-yard run from last year, it was kind of obvious who was going to do well. And what I really admire about the programming this year is that, I mean, I'm a student of the game, and what I want to do is I want to look at the workouts and who really has a competitive advantage. And in this event, when you break it down, you look at all these variables and you're like, well, Haley Adams really should dominate in this event, but there's a huge aspect of strength in here, and she's not a fast twitch, speed, strength, power athlete. So then you're like, oh, well, maybe it is one of those stronger athletes. And in the truth, it was really, truly a CrossFit athlete. It really neutralized the elite level runners, but it also neutralized the strength specialist as well. It really turned it into a workout that nobody knew who was going to win. And that to me is what it's all about. It's really a test of unknown. And it really forces these athletes to take a risk. I mean, for Haley Adams, people don't think that that's really a big deal, but for a kid to go out in front and just really push that intensity, it's an unknown. How does she know whether or not she's going too fast? It's a risk. And you got to admire that courage. Anybody that goes off the front like that, anybody is taking courage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to see her do so well, and then, I mean, we expected her to obviously do well in the run, and it was almost everybody was waiting to see what would happen when the strongman components came in, and then we saw her pick up the Husafell bag, and obviously there was a lot of shifting in the leaderboard. But seeing Gabby Migala and Ricky Garard be the champions of that workout, would you go as far as saying that they are the most well-rounded CrossFit workouts or athletes?
If you look at Ricky Garard in that workout, if you question his fitness, his competency, how well-rounded it is, I don't know what you're watching, because that guy is a machine. And what he did was incredible. I mean, he remained in contact with the front of that group. Now, he was confident in this workout. I mean, it did hit a lot of the sweet spots, which he was capable of doing. Still, you got to execute. And one of the things that everyone must recognize is these athletes are tired. You go to talk to any of them and they're tired, and that tired creates doubt. You don't know how much you have in the tank. You believe you have something left in there, but until you get deep into this workout, it's really unknown. And you got to admire a guy like Ricky, who has really hit the gas pedal in all of the events up till this one, right? You would assume, does he have anything left in that tank, or is it just on E? And what he showed is that his capacity is right on point. This guy has got a big gas tank, and I don't expect this guy to slow down. Now, tonight we saw a little bit of slowing, but you know what? Everybody has some vulnerability, like we saw in Tia the other night.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so seeing Gabby and Ricky do so well in this workout, on the other hand, we saw so many people struggle to get up those stairs. What are they feeling in that moment? Are their hamstrings shot? Like, do they just have nothing left because it was a longer workout, more enduring? What's going on with their bodies?
So you have to think about all of the leg work that was done in it, and it was all in the same movement pattern, right? So think of a walking lunge, right? This pig flip was really, it was separation of legs. And so there was a lot of posterior chain activation, and then you get into the run. And if you land on the ball of the foot, you are going to activate more quad, like Haley Adams was running. If you heel strike, you're going to activate again more hamstring. You get into the jerry can. Now what we have is we've got a tremendous load, and we have a short little unnatural stride in order to go fast. But it is, again, a tremendous amount of strain on that hamstring. And then you go into the last piece. And that climbing those steps is really the icing on the cake. And those athletes, I talked to them, they had no idea what to expect, because their legs, by the time they got there, were like Jell-O. And how are you going to create stability while you're holding, either for women 150 pounds or men 200 pounds, while you're being suffocated? They had no idea what to expect. And so when they got there, some were surprised, which we saw on camera, which was incredibly thrilling. And others were like, I got it. And that confidence is what I look at. Any athlete that got to those stairs and said to themselves, I got it, that's a threat.
You could see them when they turned the corner, because it was interesting how they had it set up. The jerry can went up toward the Capitol, around the sidewalk and down. And then when you pick that bag up, you can see all the way up the hill. And that's, like you're talking about, that's an open window for that doubt to just, that breeze to come on in. And so the lead up to that, you could tell when people made that turn that they were shocked, or that reality had set into them that I had pushed too hard on the way here. And so with the athletes you're talking to, what kind of advice are you giving them pace-wise, right? If I know my 5K traditional pace, and now I've added these things to where I'm getting a little sauce in my posterior chain, my trunk's going to get blown up at the end, what kind of percentage pace are you talking to them or feel you're asking them to look for on the way to the Capitol on that run?
So in the run, all you're trying to do is settle into a sustainable pace. I mean, one of the things I'm an endurance athlete, and I would take running a 5K any day over 400 meters, because 400 meters, it just is going to burn like fire. And there's no other way to get around the track than to suffer. But you run a 5K, it really is relatively simple, because you just get below your maximum sustainable pace and you stay there until you get close enough to the finish where you want to take a risk and go above that maximum sustainable pace. So in this event, you could only do what your maximum sustainable pace will allow you to do. And so that was the advice. Push this, but don't get into that mode where you're beginning to hyperventilate, because when you finish this work in terms of the run, that's where the workout really starts. And every event has that. Like if you go back to, the Ironman in Kona, I always said that race does not start until you hit 80 miles into the bike ride. And if you think it starts when the gun goes off, you're going to have a long day.
So speaking of having a long day, how does starting off their day with a workout like this set them up for two more events? And the other one, the second event, it wasn't that long after the first one, only a couple of hours.
I think that also strategic by Boz and his committee that came up with these events. The timing, the amount of rest that they're getting. One of the disappointments is that we ended up doing the event yesterday. Imagine if that event was done at the time it was originally scheduled for, and the wreckage it would have created. This is all by design. They looked at this in this committee, and what they're doing is they're intentionally manipulating these athletes. They're working strategically the muscle groups. We saw this. Do you remember back in the day when Dave Castro originally programmed the pegboard? He programs it, but one of the things that Dave didn't take into consideration was the accumulation of fatigue by the time that the athletes got there. And that's why they struggled. This group is looking at that, and what they're looking at is the accumulation of fatigue. And so there's tremendous science associated with what they're doing. And so keep that in mind as the workouts progressively get released. This swim workout right now, if you're a swimmer, so I've done it. I've done Frogman Challenge down in Coronado, and I did a workout was Fran, but in between your 21 thrusters, you had to do a 100-meter freestyle. I'm a good swimmer, but I did 21 thrusters at 95 pounds, and normally a 100-meter free would take me about 1 minute and 6 seconds. It took me 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Oh, wow.
It took away my competency. So imagine you're coming in tomorrow and you think you're a great swimmer, and then the surprise may hit where you're like, what happened? And that's how negative thought propagates, because you don't know. Yeah, so what they're doing in these workouts and the way that they're designed, I'm mesmerized by it. I really think that what they've done is an incredible job in trapping these athletes, truly unknown.
Well, and I was going to say, I think part of the interesting thing about the games every year is that, in the past, it's obviously been Dave, now Boz and the rest of his team. They're always trying to catch people with their pants down and what haven't you been training. But I think for this kind of style, yes, we have all of these new movements that we're seeing, but I think also the order and the way they are, it's like you could have practiced swimming and skiing all year round, but did you have the capital workout before?
That's right. That is right. And keep in mind, CrossFit Games is an endurance competition, and that fatigue accumulates. And do you have enough energy? Anybody that is curious and you have a coach's pass, just go watch what athletes do after the first event. They will do a whole cool down protocol and then watch on Saturday and Sunday. There's almost no cool down because they can't. They're nuked. The problem is that every single one of these workouts accumulates. And you have to remember that.
So then what do you think of?
Well,
go ahead,
I was going to say, that's why, just because, there's current leaders out there, they're designing it in a way that's never been done before. Let's face it, it got kind of predictable in the past. We had these endurance events in the beginning, and now the athletes are like, we have no idea, right? Usually back in the day, it was pure CrossFit workout on Sunday. We're having a swimming event on a Saturday. And so the athletes are now confused. And if you're not feeling well tonight, that negative thought, that unknown is going to propagate and doubt will sink in. And that is when you auger into the earth. That's when you underperform.
So then what are your thoughts on tomorrow's swim workout, the swim in the pool with the ski erg?
I love this workout. I think it's a very well done workout. Because one of the things you have to remember is that in these workouts, they're forcing athletes to be strategic. They're forcing them to be intelligent. You just can't do grunt work and actually win. You got to be smart. So what do you do in this workout knowing that you've got to be able to get more and more calories on that ski erg as you progress? Do you go out hot or do you play it conservative and take the risk that you could miss your number of calories on that ski? And that's a tricky game to play. Imagine you're a great swimmer and you dog it and now you're out. Mm-hmm. So in that swim workout, what I love about it is that clearly that ski is going to be on the pool deck and you're going to be able to do essentially a running start into a dive. The good swimmers or someone who has practiced their dive can get 50% of the way down the pool as free energy.
Wow.
But imagine you don't understand how to dive. Like we've seen it many times in swim events.
Every year there's a handful.
They just jump in.
Yeah.
And imagine you're sitting there and you're like a great CrossFit athlete, but you didn't think about practicing your dive. You're going to be so far behind because that athlete that knows how to do a good dive knows how to do a good turn. And I'm not talking a flip turn. I'm talking about an open turn and using the power of their legs to get well past the flags. That's where this workout's going to be high value for that person that just put in a little bit of practice.
So who do you think is going to do well tomorrow? Do you have any hot takes, predictions?
All right. I'm going to give you my prediction.
Here we go. Listen up, everyone.
He needs to take water for this one.
Yeah.
Well, just because I've seen people swim, and the last time we had the pool, I saw Justin Medeiros swim. And Justin Medeiros is a very, very proficient swimmer, and that was 2 years ago. So if he was putting in the time back then, we've got to assume that he is substantially better. Substantially. And there is a big, big difference in doing 1 lap versus 2 laps. Now, I don't want you to think that a ski erg is that difficult. The movement pattern of a ski erg and swimming, if you think about it, is the same. So it's completely different, for example, if you did a thruster. A thruster would destroy a swimmer because it's so different in the type of movement. If I was to do a ski, it's similar to jumping rope or doing GHTs. This movement, right, is similar. So it will be a very easy transition for them. Very easy. It's going to come down to an athlete who is proficient at a ski but also is a great swimmer that knows how to dive and do a proper turn. So my money, and I don't know, I don't know about all the other, but I really think from what I saw 2 years ago, if Justin has continued his trajectory in terms of swimming, I think that he's going to be someone that I would watch for.
What about women?
Tia's a great swimmer. And, I went and visited her back before she won the first time in Australia. And I was in the pool with her and we did a whole workout. And I told her way back then, I said, you know what, Tia, you really got to get control and get confident being hypoxic. So one of the things that's going to hit the panic button for a lot of these athletes is they're going to be hypoxic coming off that ski, because in many of them, they're going to be pressed for time. So they're going to hit the gas pedal and they're going to begin hyperventilating. Imagine being hypoxic and now you got to go and dive into the pool and make it halfway while holding your breath. Mm-hmm. So when I was with Tia, I said to her, Tia, you know what? And we were in a 50-meter pool. Oh. I want you at some point in time to be able to swim the length of the pool underwater the entire way, no breathing. She says it's impossible. So I said to her, and the thing is I swam. And I said, okay, so I'm going to show you that it can be done. And you need to work on that. And as soon as you see somebody do something, and I did, I made it the whole 50 underwater. It's kind of like when Bob Beamon jumped 29 feet in Mexico City. The world thought, it is possible. And that's what she saw. So imagine, that was in 2016. Crazy. Seeing something that was seemingly impossible and leveraging that. That's a threat. That's someone who has built upon that. So I would think that Tia, because she's a good swimmer, she knows how to manage that fear of being hypoxic and not drowning, right? So you'll see a good dive. You'll see a good push. I think that's a threat too.
Awesome. Chris Hinshaw, thank you so much for tuning in with us and answering some of these questions. You give us such a good perspective on so many different things. We really appreciate it.
I'm really grateful. Anytime, you guys. Pleasure to be on your show.
Thanks, Chris. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Wow. Every time I talk to him, I feel like my mind is just exploding.
Well, what's crazy is
things you don't even think about.
I know.
Yeah. So I love when he always references himself, and because every time this pops up, like a video just came out of like a recent video of him running with Haley, and he's the rabbit. he's the rabbit when they run.
Jeez.
Not only is he the rabbit, I know he's talking the whole time.
Oh yeah, and I'm
looking at his watch. Yeah, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the sweet man that knows a lot of stuff. He's still a dog. And and that's why I said, like, listening to him speak about things, like, you could tell he obviously loves it. He's super passionate about it.
Yeah.
And it shows with the work he's done with how many athletes he's done it with. But it's so thorough, and the things he's saying, like, it's from experience, and his knowledge base is massive. So, yeah, I always appreciate hearing Chris kind of do his dance on the mic and explain things.
So go ahead, Presley.
I was just going to say, I used to follow Aerobic Capacity. I think it was like the beginning of COVID. I thought, well, now's probably a good time for me to get good at breathing heavy for once. And anyone that's followed it knows that the worst thing is when you get a notification that Chris Henshaw has commented on your workout, because you'll do these tests and then he'll comment and be like, could you hold that pace for 20 minutes? Or could you what could you do for 20 minutes? It's always like something that you're proud of. And then he's like, but could you do it for this? And it's terrible. So I have a little PTSD hearing Chris Henshaw talk.
100% a no from me all the time.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I can't. Just let me work out.
All the time, yeah.
All the time, every time. Going back to the Capitol event this morning, all three of us were there. We kind of had different locations. Dex, I'm curious, one of the big storylines that if you guys haven't watched it, go back to CrossFit's live stream, but it was when Rebecca Fuselier, she was standing alone with the 150-pound Husafel sandbag. She's one of the smallest competitors, actually, just sitting at 5'2", so about mine and Presley's height, weighing 125 pounds. I don't weigh that much. But what was so cool was seeing the crowd behind her. I want to pull up a picture if you guys haven't seen it yet, but like, holy crap, that really speaks to the sport.
Yeah, it's like the old school stuff. Like, so some of my favorite videos, if you've never seen like Every Second Counts, right? About the first few games, or maybe it was just the first games. Um, and you can see it here now. It's just elevated, right? There are brands involved and all this stuff, but the heart of it is still those things, right? Like it's the community, and you can see the trickle down, right? We talked about it yesterday about how when new things pop up, it trickles down to affiliates, and it kind of opens the door for either coaches to expand their knowledge base or expose athletes to things, because now, hey, if it pops up here, it always trickles down a level below in a few years. And you've seen her fight, man. Like she stature wise, yes, one of the smaller athletes in the field. But I mean, last year, maybe not out of nowhere, but she was at the MAC just throwing haymakers, and then this year does the same thing and punches the ticket. And the beauty of it to me is like she works in an affiliate. She does the TikTok thing. She's the most comfortable in her own skin, and those are the people that are behind her, that show up to cheer for those people. So it's a reason we all fall in love with it and stay in love with it, year to year. So, and that, Chris talking about like that event being purely CrossFit, not a specialist thing, when we've seen those things in the past, like in a run, swim, run. He was right. This is old school CrossFit. This makes me think of like the crazy events where they had to hammer a stake into the ground, and crazy stuff like that. But I mean, she's a worker, man. And I mean, she's got a bright future. I still feel like she's just getting started. This is her first games. And so it's going to be nothing but on the way up for her.
Incredible.
This event was awesome. I think we were talking about it earlier. There were so many more people there than I thought were going to be there. For some reason, I thought, people would mostly just go to the venue and watch maybe the pig flips and then watch, the run on TV or something. But it was crazy how many people went down to the Capitol for this. It was awesome.
I cannot wait to see some of the pictures. I know they're probably already on the internet, but some of them have to be just so cool to see the masses of people who came out for it, and then just supporting Rebecca, following her pretty much as she went up the steps. Some other storylines that we were following were, I think Heat 1, Travis Mayer had a pretty impressive performance. Holy cow. And I think Chris Hinshaw was talking about his pace in the run and like how many steps he took during the live broadcast.
Yeah, so Chris's magic number I think is 180, right? Presley, is that it? And so
sounds right. Yeah.
As a man who's tried to do that is a rough tempo. But if we could pull up the picture of Danielle Brandon doing the double middle finger to the crowd and put Travis's head on it, this is what I saw. Dad doesn't want to be in the first heat.
Yeah.
And you could see that because, I mean, he was to the jerry cans and rounded the corner before anybody else came up the hill. It was the most which on a bike event or in the Coliseum, short sprinty things, it's pretty easy to get disrespectful and send it. And if you're able to carry it, firework time. It's not easy to do that on a 30-plus minute event. Travis has that, kind of crazy brain, which, he's got gear some people don't have for some things that nobody has. And that's what that looked like to me. He was literally by himself on the back end, and he didn't look pumped about it. He was pissed that he was in the first heat, it looked like. And it looks like he's trying to move out of there. Did he? Where are we at right now?
Go ahead.
I just saw so many jokes about people saying, like, of course he did well. He carries around 6 kids all the time. I love when people bring like their personal lives into it. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, you can't help but cheer for him because he's a dad too. He has all these kids that every year he just gets stronger and gets better. And
awesome.
He's just so much fun to watch.
And he's got gray in his beard now. He's a man.
He does. You got that close to him?
Yeah, you can get close to everybody. He does have gray in his beard.
I don't think I've ever seen gray in his beard, but we'll trust Dex about that. Moving on to the second event of today. That one was back in North Park. Actually, let's pull up what it was. Yep, the up and over.
This was interesting.
This was interesting to watch. What were your first takes of this one, Dex?
So Chris kind of alluded to it, the volume management, which is as a coach, the hardest thing to do with CrossFit, right? Because there's a lot of boxes to check. We got to get strong. We got to get fast. We have to be, attention to detail in gymnastics, and throwing this one in there with, sets of 12 muscle ups going each round. And I liked it. It was the progression. Muscle ups stayed the same, and the thing you were jumping over changed. And then there was, one of my least favorite things to do and to see people suffer through is a heavy front rack lunge. And it never fails to just bring the devil out of people's face. But the jump overs are very cool. I thought the log, they raised it up a little bit. That's, pretty cool. You've jumped over a fence as a kid. And then the standard on the pig was you had to land with your back facing it. And I'm sure there's, they had some kind of safety concern or whatever. But me and Cole talked about it after, and I was like, what do you think was, the kind of separator? He's like, I caught a lot of people on the pig jump over because, guy was a D1 football player, lands, pivots on one foot, turns around and jumps where most people would land. And like Chris was talking about, that was a window that was cracked open for you to be like, oh, these are 3-4 steps for me to rest. And then GHDs are GHDs. That's kind of a, something to try to spoil the rest of it. Let's get the midline popping. Hip flexors are gone. But that, man, wrapping that up with a long front rack lunge on that turf, which is weird to step on anyway. And then just front rack lunges are just a punch in the chest and just everything lower body. So it was a really cool event to watch.
Well, and it was really fun in the men's heat watching Saxon. He was about 30 seconds ahead of second place. I mean, he had nobody in sight for the majority of the workout.
Yeah, my legs hurt just watching that workout, especially after going up the Capitol steps and that workout. And you saw a lot of people kind of pausing on the top of the box, having to do an extra step there and then ending with the lunge. That was just, I think it was Medeiros that, or someone else that ended up dropping the bar right before the finish line that maybe gave Medeiros a chance to win. There was a fight going on there.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
Justin and Ricky were neck and neck. It was interesting. And maybe Dex, from where you were standing, you saw something different. Or again, people at home comment in the live stream that we're doing right now and let us know. But we saw them neck and neck. Justin had dropped the bar, come over the finish line, but then he went back. I think maybe he didn't go over his bar. Did you see, Dex?
It looked like you see this sometimes where they start to give a no rep and the guy runs the stop sign, which literally happens all the time. But I thought that he finished and the guy waved him through and then he tries to pull him back. And, I don't think he did another lunge.
He didn't pick the bar back up.
I think he started to, and Chuck came over and kind of was like, hey, we're good, which is cool. Chuck's on top of things. So, no controversy there. But, yeah, it's the races are plenty.
Yes, they are. Looking over at the women's leaderboard for that event. What was that? Up and over, we said? Yeah. Taking first. Any surprises there? She was a full minute ahead of Mel for that one.
No, her density work on the rings is nuts. I mean, again, top tier mover in the field, top tier capacity, and like the killer's coming out and you can see it. Well,
that's scarier that she did bad, or not bad, but didn't do as well as we expected the first day. Because now I just feel like she's got a chip on her shoulder and she's coming in hot.
You don't give Tom Brady whiteboard materials, what they say. That's what they say, and it's for a reason. Because we end up here, where she'll cut your head off the rest of the weekend, and that was early, like Thursday. It's awfully early to piss this lady off. But I mean, it's a showcase, man. She, it's been a long year coming out of bobsled, doing this, that, and other. So I'm sure she's heard chirping. I mean, she has the internet. And so it's cool to see her come out and, haymakers are still in there. And this was a classic CrossFit workout. So, business as usual. And then she did the same thing in the Coliseum in the afternoon.
Oh, and I honestly, what did you guys think? I think headed back into the Coliseum in the final event of the day was, I mean, I love starting with the Capitol, but it was electric. Presley, we were in there, Dexter, we were in there, and it was unreal. And some of the races, oh my God.
I've watched a lot of games
workouts. You were eating ice cream?
And that was one of the most fun experiences I have had as a spectator in recent memory. There were so many good races. It was really easy to see some of these workouts, they go back and forth so much. It's hard to keep track of who actually is ahead. It was really easy to tell, who had how many reps left. That was a fun workout to watch. And there's so many more people here. The Coliseum was bananas.
Yeah, Coliseum's always nuts.
This moment.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to make this full screen.
Timmy P.
This was cool.
There we go.
Look, this is not new. Okay.
Look.
This is what Timmy P does. Melt the bacon.
Okay, we gotta play it again.
Yeah, you gotta get the end part there.
Yeah.
There we go. Look at him go.
He looks like
this is amazing.
In this one, he looks like the drummer from the Muppets.
Jax always has the best analogies.
Yeah, and he'll receive that with love because that's how I mean it. Yeah, Tim, I mean, this is his thing, right? Tim's a 6 foot, 200 pound dude, good gymnast, pressing strength's crazy. And so, got there and shot a shot, and like machines are his thing, especially that. Like we've seen him go dummy before, and it is my favorite thing. And I think Chase Ingram lost his mind in the broadcast.
Literally lost his mind.
All I can see is Will Ferrell and the other guys punching the accelerator and yelling "America." I'm like, that's my guy, the reference.
Oh man! And every heat, someone broke the next record. I mean, I think Will Morad, who was in the third heat, ended up getting the top time.
Oh, that's a spoon-fed Will Morad workout for sure.
Yeah, here we'll pull up the leaderboard for men's.
No, pull that women. I want to talk about this. Ain't no regular F-150. It's a.
Wait, let Presley talk. She was talking about the men.
Oh, my bad.
I know there is. Well, the women's races were good too, but I did want to know
leaderboard for. This is filtered by Echo Press. So Will Morad obviously first. So much fun to see that.
Someone just pointed out in the comments that Cole Sager sent it on the bike too. There was some where people really had to go ham on the bike. That was awesome. And
wait, look at this one from Lance. Why is the Paulson video 2 times speed?
That was
real speed.
That wig was flying. It's not as cool when Cole does it because he doesn't have a luscious.
That's true. That's true. Sam Quant did another. He got in like buzzer beater. Had to send it and then made it just in time. Roman that was a great workout for him.
Yeah.
The only one that was a little disappointing was Ricky, who was leading going into this event. Didn't finish his handstand push-ups, which wasn't the case for a lot of people.
Well, that was crazy. Like for that. I mean, it's good to see a whole, right? Like everybody's got one, and that's we talked about that being the appeal of this games, is there being so much shuffle and things like that. So yeah, man, we'll call that a bomb, but everybody's allowed one, especially on a 13-event weekend.
Yeah, I think that just because we keep talking about Ricky because he's having such an incredible weekend thus far, people were surprised to see him failing some of those handstand push-ups. But again, maybe that's just one of his weaknesses, and he still is sitting first overall. So clearly he had his bad workout, just needs to continue with good ones throughout the rest of the weekend in order to stay up at the top.
Well, there's layers.
And I was curious, Dex, from your perspective, because I know you mentioned earlier that this is something, the wall-facing handstand push-ups are something that you program kind of as skill work. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, because we did see a lot of people really struggling with no reps and failing reps, do you feel like it's more of a shoulder fatigue issue from the days so far, or is it more of like a skill? Maybe they don't practice this as much. What do you think was causing some of those failures?
So I think traditionally they pick body parts to beat up, right? I mean, at the games, it's usually like head to toe. It's more of a regional thing where it's like, hey, this was a shoulder heavy or a hinge heavy or squat heavy year. And it's just, that's what they do. This was positional, right? Like you can, and we've seen it with some ladies, say like Brooke Wells, good at handstand push-ups, position, whatever works, but hers is the big bow and then, butt drag on the way down. But yeah, this one is for me to reinforce a position. It gives you more feedback. And then this thing gives you more stress. And so challenges the position to where can you hold it and is the structure right? And then can you translate, core to extremity? Can I keep it tight in my core so I don't leak energy when I go to press? And I'd say like mechanically it was a little more pec heavy. So kind of like an incline bench, but the way they had to go away from the wall and hit that standard. But yeah, I mean, that's the nuance, man. I love that. And I mean, it'll show you who practices basics. I know we get caught up in like, the sexy things. Oh, well, my progression on handstand push-ups is parallettes, or now it's strict parallettes, or whatever. Now I'm wearing a weight vest and ankle weights, or something weird. But it's basics are hard, man. There's a reason. Like when they came out, I remember regionals when they had strict Nate maybe, or strict muscle ups were there, and it was just exposure time. The first year they had handstand walk at regionals, Sam Briggs didn't make it, right? So there's been a lot of heartbreak with exposure, things like that. I think that's that's a hallmark of, throwing it back to like a CrossFit Journal Glassman thing, the basics, right? The pyramid can only go as tall as the base is wide. And so, hats off to Boss for a good event and kind of a good exposure thing.
Do you think it was difficult to judge with like the changed standard on the handstand push-up, doing it like a wall walk at first?
Did they change it?
Did they change what?
Because I don't know if you had to do a wall.
Yeah, I think you did have to do a wall walk because I was listening.
Laura Horvath cartwheeled into it. I don't know if that was like I hate to say
Oh,
it.
maybe just yeah,
You had to get up on. I think you had to go from the floor to up on the blocks. I don't
right.
know if you cared how.
Interesting.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. I liked it though because I mean I'm gassing you on the bike, so there's a carrot for you to chase, and if you took it, you exploded. You stood there for a while. I thought Alexis Raptis.
That was cool.
Yeah, Harold Pope, the women's leaderboard.
Ballroom dance through this thing.
That was amazing.
And when she got on the last bike, she destroyed it. Right, and you don't see. I mean, we see them try really hard, but she legitimately put the hammer down on the last bike. I mean, she beat the field by a full minute and some change.
Like a boss.
Yeah.
And
again, she's one of the young ones. It's terrifying, the caliber of athlete and like how young they are now. But you see
Emma
her.
Lawson.
Yeah, and Training Think Tank does a great job of covering these things, so it's not new to see that. Like we see her working out with Noah and Travis in their lead up camp. Chris does a good job with that stuff. So I'm not surprised. Like she's been competing every day, and for her to, maybe she didn't call a shot, but to when to take one, and she did. That was awesome. It was beautiful to watch. The execution was just 10 out of 10, and when they throw you a meat pitch, you hit it out of the park. So and she did that.
Any more exciting races? I mean, there really were so many races within this workout as a whole, but with the women's side, we spent some time on the men's. I know, obviously, we talked a little bit about Laura, knowing that this was going to be possibly a weakness for her. What did she finish? Did we
sort it?
I'll sort it.
Yeah, I think it's important to note Caroline Spencer held the lead for a good while before Alexis ended up winning it. Tia, had a really strong finish here, getting second. And then, like I briefly mentioned, Emma Lawson is getting really, close to podium territory with some of these finishes, especially after the, dip workout 2 days ago. She's doing really well with gymnastics movements.
Yeah, that's a Caroline Connors. That's a handstand push-ups are her thing. Maybe not so much the bike, but she's a good when she's got the meat pitch, and you can see it's her second year. Like the experience is paying off, and her husband's here this year, a new husband. So congrats to those guys. Like it's awesome to see them both break through together. Because it's been, we've been on that ride together. I've been close with them for a long time. Sure. And so it's awesome to see them both here. And she's doing great, man. They're having a good time.
It's awesome.
Anything else about the individual category? We've been talking a lot about it. There was so much action today. I mean, with all of the divisions, everybody competed today. And we still have 2 days?
They competed on schedule.
On schedule. And everything's been on time except for the rain delays. But other than that, I mean,
everything has been on time. Mostly, we had some very brief scoring things that had to be validated today, but for the most part, scoring and leaderboard stuff worked better today. Lots of good events, so it's going to make for a fun weekend.
A lot of sunscreen.
A lot of sunscreen. I know, I got some sunburns.
My one shoulder is red. That's where the sun was.
Yeah.
Something else that we will talk about as we get near the close of our show tonight was the shift up on the team leaderboard here, and also kind of a new component. A couple things here is, CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, they were, I think, 4th going into today, but now they've shifted. They are back in 1st. I know, Presley, you watched a little bit of the teams today.
Yeah, that was awesome. I feel like having watched Rich Froning so long, sometimes it seems, in my opinion, like he finishes and is like, yeah, we expected to do that. And then at other times it's like really like punches it to him and is super stoked. And I love seeing stoked Rich Froning. So that was awesome today. I don't know if anybody saw, but he went like down the whole front row and high-fived everybody in the front row. So that was cool to see. They got 14:56 for their winning time in first place in the last event. The next team after them was Oslo, and they finished about 30 seconds. I think it was maybe 26 seconds after them. So quite a substantial lead in that workout. And then Reykjavik is, as you can see there, back in contention in top 5. So it was kind of a shift up in the teams for sure, but it was really fun to see Rich and Mayhem Freedom get so excited.
They didn't lead the whole time in that workout, did they? Oslo was out front for a while.
Yeah, and then we got to see those really strange rowers for the first time. And I was in the media room and I was like, what are these
Everybody was going crazy.
Yeah,
like,
and all
how
these
does
other
this work?
people were like, "Oh, rowers practice on that. That's normal."
Yeah.
But I've never seen one.
I've never seen that either.
Oh,
Dex,
so
have
good.
you ever used
So
those
when I first
with your
started
team experience?
CrossFit, when I first started CrossFit, they had one at the YMCA I did CrossFit at. And I was that guy. Headphones in, don't talk to me while you do your pump session. But they had one, so I had seen it before. But, you know, we've seen them do, and we saw it today. They rode the bike. Guys ride the bike. You know, there's no, you know, you don't really have to sync it up. You just got to finish around the same time, so you can pick a pace. That thing looked like it forced you to be on the water. You have to be synced up, and it was really cool to watch. It was just a different implement. Them forcing people to hold a freestanding handstand while they do that looked a little hard to enforce. Like, hey, stop rowing. But it was a cool implement. Yeah, it was a cool implement. I mean, and you saw. I mean, Lauren Fisher looked great in her handstand. So maybe the things have subsided, or she found a ridiculous amount of ibuprofen. But this is the most since the last time I competed in 2017 when the Brute Stop the Mayhem thing happened. It's the most competitive I've seen the stuff. And again, it's only Friday, and you know Presley's talking about Crazy Rich at the finish line. And I'll tell you, I think it's one, the guy hates to lose, and they definitely always expect to win for sure. And they got two teams in the top 6. Luke and them look great. You know, they got games vets. Alexis is a vet, and they all look good. But the guy hates to lose, and more so when the plan goes awry, they're not scared to change it on the fly. And I think when he gets the most excited, like today, they were behind in that event. And I guarantee he was like, hey, out the window, we're going. And then so he can lose his mind, right? Like there's something that lights that fuse. And it's not like you're talking about. When they kill people, yeah, he's going to do the walk across thing. Cool. But when he's fired up, it means like there was, felt like there was a chink in the armor. He took a jab and then he threw a haymaker and knocked somebody out. So,
Awesome.
which it's all, we talked about picking, you know, the Oslo team to be top 3 and make a push from last year. And they look good through quarters. You know, I feel like Reykjavik versus Mayhem was the thing. Just the whole season, and it still is. It's awesome to see them fight, and I'm glad Lauren's doing well because I didn't want to see them go out on something like that. And she looked great today. But yeah, again, every division, it's a good shuffle of good races all weekend.
This has been so fun to watch. There's nobody's running away with it.
No,
not
yet. Anyway, it's still Friday.
Yeah, it's only Friday.
Long week.
Feels
we still
like day 72.
It does. And always Sunday feels like the longest because I feel like this year there are going to be those races where maybe it's not, we don't know who's in first place, but I definitely think that it's going to be a lot of like calculator math at the end to see like top 3, top 5, top 10. There's going to be a lot of close races, and that's what I'm excited for.
I'd love for a drum roll at the end, like nobody knows. Well, I mean, my favorite semis, where they got to split screen the people, right? You know, you don't know who's going to get 5th or 6th. Like who's got to go home and keep it hot for the LCQ, and who gets to go relax for a week. But I'd love for that to go across divisions to where we're sweating bullets, and it's not Dave coming out before the event's even over, like, all right, fittest, blah blah blah. It's you. We knew yesterday, you know, and like it's cool. I love the game. Don't get me wrong. But when there is competition and it's not a race for second place, I think it is infinitely better for the sport and you know the people watching, right? Like we don't want to watch a runaway. Like I remember the stadium being empty for a lot of stuff on the back end, right? Especially teams, like they don't get the love they deserve, and it seems like coverage wise they will this year.
They're closing out the competition. Teams is.
Yeah, it'll be awesome, and so you know that's exciting to me because you know in my heart I'm a team guy, and but it's. Yeah, this is one of the better years, right? I mean, we've seen repeat champions just come through, right? Sam, Kat, you know, and Tia. And so we've seen that kind of ride through, and I would hope that those years are over. And every year now, it's wild card who's going to get it.
Mm-hmm. Looking ahead to tomorrow, it closes out for the age group and adaptive division. So tomorrow will be their last day. But again, tomorrow, everybody's competing. Events, they start at 8 a.m. Central Time. Competition closes at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Dex, Presley, we got 2 more days of this. Cool. Are you guys ready? We got to be caffeinated.
I was just going to say that. With enough coffee, we're going to do just fine.
There's no telling how much that coffee shop made this morning before they started the Capital workout.
Oh.
I ate 2 bagels and 16 coffees. Yeah, it was great. And they were right there. Like that.
Dex is like doing bagels with one hand, trying to shoot with the other hand.
Right.
I met some nice people from Canada. They were Drake's neighbors or something like that. It was good.
Of course they were.
Yeah, of course. That's how I've been hydrating is with coffee. So same science. There's water in it.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for joining us again. Going to be 2 more fun days. We'll see you back here as soon as